don't turn in the assignments on time. I pity the fool. And well, some of the younger audience members, you didn't understand this. I trust your parents should explain you who Mr. T is. That's a national treasure. I mean, you gotta know Mr. T. All right. Now I'm just Dr. T, much more boring. All right, so I'm a marketing professor at Fairleigh Dickinson University. And if you're wondering how come marketing and sales professor is going to talk about a non-profit cause, well, you have to figure that out on yourself. I don't really have anything to say about that. But I was asked to say a few things about what we do here at Turkish Culture Center. Maybe like 10-15 minutes. I'm not going to put you to sleep. And now, even though I'm near New Jersey, less than a year now, I have been involved with interfaith, intercultural dialogue organizations for the past 12 years. And I should start by saying that even though we are called Turkish Culture Center, this is not an organization to spread or promote Turkish culture, or any specific culture for that matter. What we are trying to accomplish here is to promote the idea or create a platform that brings people together. So that's our goal. And you know, food obviously is a great way to bring people together. People from different cultural backgrounds, different faiths, different upbringings. Food is one way. Music obviously is a great way. Thank you guys. It was awesome, by the way. Yeah, please, yeah, go ahead. So, music is definitely another way to bring people together. Arts, other cultural activities, holidays, religious occasions. Obviously, we organize many things that bring people together. Now, this is not supposed to be easy, right? It's a little bit hard. Well, I mean, just to know or get to know people who are not like yourself. It requires a little bit of going out of your comfort zone. It's a little bit like, you know how when you work out, your muscles get sore a little bit, and then it's like, it hurts a little bit, but you know it's for good reason. You know, you want your muscles to be sore. If they are not, that means you don't have any progress. So this is just like that. I mean, it's a little bit uncomfortable. You know, you just, leave your comfort zone, and in TCC events, oftentimes you see someone who has just come here in the recent years, 1-2 years, trying to communicate with you with a broken English. You think that's easy. It's not. I mean, New Jersey is a quite diverse place. If you can spend your entire life with people who only speak Turkish, right? I mean, or Spanish or some other language for that matter. But what we are trying to do is just like, you know what? I mean, I'm just gonna leave my comfort zone, and I'm just gonna try to build some bridges and get to know people who are just not like myself. And that's where the progress happens, and that's what we are trying to promote. And once you start to know people that not just like yourself, then it's just, life is a lot easier, more convenient. I mean, I should say, the environment is much more understanding. People are much more understanding. So then you learn things like, oh, guess what? Not all Muslims are like just one way. Or if you want to know more about African Americans or redneck Americans, I mean, you just have to break bread with them. That's how it is. I lived in Texas for four years. And it's like West Texas, not like Dallas, Houston, or Austin. It's just like in the middle of the desert. And I went to Texas Tech. By the way, we are one of the teams in the Elite 8. I had to say that, okay? And this is like 72% Republican. When I first went there, I was like a little bit like concerned. Will it be accepting what kind of an experience I was gonna have? That I was told that time, Lubbock County was like 72% Republican, second highest in the nation, and then 2 hours away from that was the highest number of Republican percentage. And I had great time over there. I had great friendships. I met great people, and we organized very similar events like this. And then my wife and I, we went to Central Illinois. We spent 4 years there. We lived in a town where there were like 20,000 people. My wife was one of the 2 women with a headscarf in the entire town. Sure, that was a little uncomfortable for her. Sure, she got some people staring at her in the Walmart, but not because they're like terrible people. It's because they just have never seen someone like that, other than the TV, of course. So, and again, same thing. We had great time. We made great friendships. Not everyone's perfect, but that's just the way it is everywhere around the country. So my experiences in this country just solidified my opinion about this cause, where you just have to get out of your comfort zone, meet new people, and once you meet new people, then it's much easier. And this is not a one-way street, by the way. I should mention that. I mean, dialogue is not something that you do to share what you have, the way you do things. You share what you have, also you learn from others to improve yourself. And that is a very important part of dialogue. It is a two-way street. And that's one other thing we are trying to do. I mean, 12 years ago, when I first came to this country, if someone asked me whether I would give an American name to my child, I would say, no way. When we had our second daughter this past Wednesday, we named her, oh, thank you, appreciate it. My wife and I, we wanted her middle name to be Mary. And I think that's important because it's an important figure for us. For majority of Americans are Christians. For Christians, it's an important figure. And we felt like, I mean, we have so much more common, so why don't we just focus on what unites us, what are our commonalities. So we wanted her to represent that idea, and we wanted to just walk what we preach, kind of a thing. So we just did that. Hopefully it turns out like we expect. So finally, I want to say a few things about the fruits of dialogue or intercultural and interfaith dialogue. What's the benefit? What is the outcome? So when you do this, just like, you know, I mentioned, you know, get out of our comfort zone, meet people just not like us, then we create an environment where people are a lot more open, and they are a lot more open-minded, and they show their understanding towards each other. I mentioned that I teach sales, right? So when I teach sales, I mentioned this to my students. There are studies showing that if you have a 10-minute conversation with your client before making your sales presentation, before you're making your sales pitch, the 10-minute conversation, it could be about anything. It could be about March Madness, about weather, whatever, right? So that 10-minute conversation increases the likelihood that you'll close the sales. Just 10 minutes, you develop that rapport. There's another study that says that a customer who rejected you for the first time is 25% more likely to buy from you than a customer who has never met you. Okay, so if you're a salesperson, you have your clientele, right? So some people, your existing customers, they are more likely to buy from you anyways because they are already buying from you. But a customer who rejected you for the first time, even that person is more likely to buy from you compared to a person who has never seen you. You know why? Because you are more familiar to that person. That person has seen you. In social psychology, that's called mere exposure effect. Okay, so just by being exposed to someone, you are more likely to show understanding, you know, to be understanding towards that person. And I think that's very important. I mean, in the past elections, there were some presidential candidates who were complaining about others getting more airtime in national TV, and well, that results in, well, even though a person, and I'm not going to name any names here, but a person is featured on TV all the time, even though it's about something scandalous, doesn't matter, that increases the exposure, right? So when you're in the ballot box, you vote for the person that you have somehow come across, right? So that's from psychology. So what we are trying to do is we are trying to increase that exposure. We are trying to invite you guys to join us, just to, you know, I mean, it's not an overnight thing. We know that. I mean, it's like a societal transformation. It takes time. We don't create a society where people are comfortable with different opinions, or people seek out different opinions. It's not that easy. It doesn't happen all like overnight. But we want to be part of that process, and we want to encourage you to be a part of that process. If you want, you can share your contact information with us. Or join us, volunteer with us, just to increase the number of events where we try to get people together. And I want to finish by saying that join us, pull up a chair in our hearts. There's one for everyone. Thank you, everyone.